Ciao Raffaele.
Oh, it's amazing. Ciao, Federico. How are you?
I'm doing phenomenal. Always a pleasure to be here with
Always
you.
a pleasure. Oh, really?
So you're still in Berlin and I'm still in California.
Yes,
You're still
yes,
freezing
yes, we are.
and I'm still sweating.
Yes,
Very good.
yes, yes. Ah, what we're going to talk today?
I think today we want to talk about the importance of creating meaningful connections. Why do we want to talk about
Wow.
that?
Yes, well, it's a pretty fun story because you remember that yesterday I came with you with a message, and it was like completely a random message because it was like I was really impressed by how able I was without knowing this kind of skill that I have to make connections in a way that is networking for good. I was in a cafe at Bonanza in Berlin, for those who know, and just randomly met a girl that I recognized in from last time. And he said to me, "Oh, nice glasses." Okay, got it. And then after 3 days, I saw them again. I saw her again, and we started talking and just engaging in conversation. What do you do in life? Oh, I'm a product designer. Oh, guess what? I'm a product designer too. What about doing this and that and that? And sharing experiences in this way. And after like two hours, I was at her home talking with other friends, and I was living my life in that moment.
So
Honestly,
what you're pretty much picturing here is the essence of networking, right? And making new connection.
yeah, I was there because I wanted to be there. Seems like when you find or when you meet a new one that is cool or that a great role or whatever, looks like it's just that single step that is fundamental, just to say hi. But it's not that. It's the sum of every step that you've taken before to arrive there. It's your attitude. So when a lot of people ask me about connections, about how can you, in Lisbon, it was like a mantra. How can you do all this connection? Or how can you be so empathetic with everyone who you just don't know? The simple tip I can give to you is just being yourself. That's it.
That's very true. I love that. Like, always be yourself. I think for some people that might listen to us, and there's probably this stereotype of designer and creative people being more introvert. It's also important to acknowledge that you don't have to be like a social butterfly to make meaningful connection. Like, what is more important in creating those, that I think is what you were saying, is that when you are in the phase of networking, just be yourself. Be yourself is the best way to networking. It doesn't matter if you're an extrovert or an introvert. You don't need to go in and just do and cheers with everyone. You can find a more discreet way. But if you always come across as you've been personal and you've been honest and you've been very open with what you're bringing to the table, I think when you open up with that, I think it's the best way to networking. One of the things that I personally dislike about like networking is when people come across and they just ask you for something right away. I don't think it's the best way to lead in any shape or form a relationship. Like, you should go and get to know someone and create this sort of exchange values, right?
Do you know what I'm thinking now about? Like randomly, like when you met someone that is famous, just let's give me a picture. Let's make a picture with you. I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense. But I know that it's like in human nature we tend to be selfish, right? Everyone tends to be selfish, and it's pretty normal. But when we try to make those meaningful connection, and the first step that we're doing when we join a new team, or we get into a different company, when we get like in a new place like you're doing now, Raffaele, it's very important that you bring your own self again, because if you do that, then you can offer someone to the other people. And if you offer that, whatever you have can just be, I don't know, being nice, having nice glasses, or having a point of view, whatever that is. that's the best way, but it doesn't have to get anything in return, right? What the Latin used to call the quid pro
Like,
quo.
be kind, because I'm scared that you cannot be kind with me in exchange. So I want to say this because I want to appear like I'm good in your this terms of value. Yeah, I pretty agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, you want to make sure that, first of all, I believe that it doesn't matter what kind of networking it is. Some people are really focused on going up and trying to find, I really want to try and find a new job and connect to those people. It's totally fine. It's totally legit. But I'm thinking that it doesn't matter who you're connecting with. It should always be like a peer connection, right? Because if you consider as a peer, first of all, it's much easier to get into the conversation. Like, you're not shaking. You're not
like a human being.
Yeah.
Like I made with you. Like, just after 10 messages, actually, after 10 minutes, we were like friends. Because I start feeling that I want to be myself with you or with whatever. Because the best way that I can find people like me, or that I agree with the values, is just be myself.
Yeah. And it's important, again, that as you were doing that, I believe I'm using you as an example. I remember that I was naturally, let's say, curious. And so, as we said in the pilot, I believe we said, I was doing some digging, and I was looking at your articles, and I was like, this guy can write some interesting stuff. So that was part of what I was saying about like the exchange. And I think what was important is that it's almost like you were bringing something to the conversation without asking for anything else. It's more like, hey, this is me, this is what I bring, what do you think? It's much better than knowing that someone is coming to you because, hey, I'm looking for a job, or hey, I would like you to be my friend because I need that help, right? Nothing against that, but if you don't build that relationship, that trust, I think you'll never get to the networking right.
My good point now is, okay, you want this job, but how, or better, why should I choose you? Why you are different from other one? I mean, everyone wants a job, right? So if you show me something unique, like I do that 1 year ago about this project that I like the most, everything. It's just better than I want a job because I'm this and I want that. I mean, there's a ton of people like you. Give me one. You have like you have 10 seconds to burn out or to succeed in something when you talk with a recruiter or whatever.
Well,
I mean, yourself.
I will let me challenge that a bit, like in real time. I wouldn't even bring it to the job example. I would bring it to a natural relationship, right? A natural and an honest, organic connection. Your point is still valid. Like, you want to be able to impress someone and come with something, like a point of view, something you did, a tool, an idea that is yours that you want to share. So you always have good intention, right? You're always being propositive and proactive about that. That, I think, is the key. Not thinking again about what is the outcome back for you, because that comes way more natural, right? And eventually, I was mentioning building the trust, right? Because you cannot pretend that you're going to a complete stranger, maybe not even in person. You go online, and in 2 days?
He's still a human.
Yeah, and 2 days you cannot expect it's going to become like your best friend and offer you a job, even if he or she could, right? So that's the point. I mean, networking has to be very deliberate in the way you plan it, but also very organic and authentic. Like, of course you want to try your peers and find your peers, but just because you intentionally want to create a network of peers and learn from them, not because you need, I don't know, a referral for a job.
You need to.
Right?
Totally feel it.
That's the challenge. I don't know if it was a real challenge. I think it was more like a different point of view. But you said something that I like.
Super interesting.
Something that I like before we get into the other part of creating meaningful connection. you mentioned something like a portfolio, right? Like that you were bringing. Has that helped in your networking connection, for example, in Berlin with the people that you met for the first time?
Can I be totally honest with you? People were more focused on other things like the UX writing and the podcast stuff rather than just the work. Because looks like even the portfolio, even the showcase what you have done at Build, it's something that they expect. So I have made the extra mile of doing something, but not because I wanted to prove that I'm an overdo kind of person, that I do a lot of stuff. Just because it's my way to approach to design and to my work with passion. That is by getting inspired and involved, even with a crazy guy like you. I mean,
well, it worked.
Sounds right, huh?
It sounds totally right. Well, what you're saying is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're saying that you were bringing you're bringing an arsenal with you, right? A different tool set and different capabilities that you have. Like you said, your writing, your portfolio.
Yes, there's a lot of weapon. I always had the approach that with one person I have just one shot to kill. Not like every time I try with it. No, I have just one shot. If I can impress you with one shot, I'm missing something. I've made a mistake. So I don't want to retry on, or I don't know, to bother people because, oh, I can do this, oh, I can do that, oh, I can do that. No way. I choose one shot. I choose one weapon. And I go to the point. Be able to choose. It's another tip that I would love to say now. I'm feeling. But
selecting the best weapon.
Imagine to have just one shot, and you have to kill with just one bullet.
That is very true when you want to start. I mean, and you know that a lot of people, I mean, appearances and the first time you talk with someone is very important. So I will just say yes. When even though I wouldn't consider a networking event as an elevator pitch, because I hate when people are salesy. If I can smell that, I wouldn't like people. And I want to be very sure that we're not saying that. You want to make sure that you have thinking about what you're bringing to the table, and you're very sharp about what you're bringing. But at the same time, you don't want to look like, oh, I'm selling this, I'm selling that, because nobody likes a salesman, especially on the very first date.
even if it's for free.
Yeah.
I mean, should be able to value your skills or whatever. And the last thing I want to add that I found very valuable, that what you have said before, is that everything that we are saying right now, it's easily applicable to life in general. These are tips that are valuable not only for jobs or for finding a work, but for being a better person, to connect with others in general life, in every aspect.
Very true. Very true. That kind of brings us to the second part that we were thinking about, what we do when we create meaningful connection. Because networking is probably with people that we want to add to our circle. But we don't need to forget that the people that we already know and the people that we already work with is probably the most important circle that we have. And in that circle, I would say there is more intimacy. There is more, the connection is even probably more, it's deeper, because it's people that we struggle with maybe every day. So the second part that we wanted to hit on creating meaningful connection is the importance of collaboration that is different from networking.
That is far. Yes, absolutely.
And what I was thinking about, like collaboration, the first thing that come to mind is that people don't think about it, but it's not, people are like, oh yeah, I know how to collaborate and blah, blah, blah. Yes, but many times we tend to collaborate with people that we like or we work well with. It's in human nature again, easy. Right? Very natural individual bias. And you want to fight that bias. I think what I've found many times is that the most difficult thing to do right away is to identify the right people you want and have to collaborate with. And that means most of the time bringing those views, those perspectives that you wouldn't invite normally. Because these are the people that will bring you a ton of value. The spot is going to be very, very challenging. What do you think? I know you're smiling. For those who are following on the video, Rafael is smiling like crazy.
I'm super smiling because this is something that I discovered failing a lot back in like 3 years ago when I worked in team, and I was always in the kind of mindset to say, oh, this guy I know him pretty well, so I'm sure I can work better with him. But the great core of the collaboration is that you don't have to be focused on the results, but in the value that everyone can bring together. That it's the final artifact, that it's more important than the single skills of everyone. So if, for example, I don't like how you work, I don't like something about you, doesn't matter that we cannot collaborate well together. In a sense that I don't need to go out with you and let's find a way together to overcome these difficulties and align ourselves to see a common goal, because we have the same goal with different needs. So let's try to collaborate in this way to create something unique.
I think a typical example, and I've done a number of what they call the alignment session, design thinking session, design shop. Like when you do that, it's very the typical example when you have the business, marketing guys, financial guys, designers, and then engineers, right? So when you got all these different kind of personas, I believe is when the magic happens. But you want to make sure that all those people are involved, because most of the time otherwise you come out with like a splendid ideas then cannot just be implemented because of something technical that you don't have yet, right? Or there is no budget. So it's very important that once you go through the divergent part of like creating and having a ton of idea, you then converge with those people. And you can even do breakout, right? When you have several concepts, you create almost like this task force. Now, I think it's something that you mentioned in one on your podcast with Carola on Dropbox, right? The design team, the product team now always have like a product manager. They have an engineer, they have a designer, right? It's the epitome of having different people collaborating to the same goal, as you said. That is very important, because that way they can quickly check with each other, make sure that they're on track, making sure that they're not saying or doing anything stupid, check the boundaries, and it's very, very enriching because every person is learning something new.
Yes. Yeah, totally agree. The multidisciplinary profiles in team are crucial.
And there is another nuance that I will add to that, to the collaboration, is that it kind of pairs up with the networking that we said. The importance of consider everyone as a peer, it's also as important. Because when you do this session, sometimes you might have, let's say, the CFO or the CTO, and then you have the intern, right? And people usually say, yeah, who cares about the intern or the junior guy? And sometimes those are the people that have the best ideas, because they are unbiased, they might be new to the company, they are millennial, they're growing up. So it's always a combination of those perspectives that will give you the best out of those sessions. So again, as you network by thinking that everyone is a peer, you don't have to think, oh, he's a senior producer, blah, blah, blah. Same when you're doing this session, treat everyone as a peer.
True story, actually. Guess what I'm thinking about.
True story.
Yes.
So yeah, as a recap, let's say there are two kind of suggestions that we got for not only for designers really, but for everyone. But something that we found out is if you're trying.
for every human being, actually.
Yes, respectable and decent human being that wants to create meaningful connection. Then make sure that you take care of two aspects in your career, in your daily life, like the networking and new people that you get in touch with. Be yourself, be self-aware, and always be honest, but bring something into the conversation. And when you collaborate with your peers or your superiors, again, still be honest and open, but make sure that you identify and involve different point of view in your activities, because that's gonna make your life much better, and you're gonna make great connection, and who knows, even great friend.
Why not? I mean, yes, it's totally true. To wrap it up, one last thing I would like to add: approach the yes and mentality when you're working with people, when you're collaborating with someone, because you can have a great idea at the moment, but it's the team result at the end. So if someone just said something different, don't always be on the counterpart of being no, we cannot do that. Approach the yes and approach, and rather than just say the no, yes, the yes and button, right? So try to be as much open as possible, even to objectify your decisions. Just for wrap it up.
Yes,
the collaboration part.
And for today,
the next episode
it's
done. And the next episode will be released soon.
Okay.
What do you think?
Absolutely. Thank you, Raffaele. I'll talk to you guys soon.
It's a pleasure.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.